Have you ever wondered about the mysterious nations that remain hidden from our eyes, waiting for a time decreed by Allah? This is the story of Yajuj and Majuj and the remarkable journey of Dhul Qarnayn, a mighty king blessed with divine guidance. Before we begin, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and let us know which mysterious Quranic story you want to see explored next. Dhul Qarnayn was not just any ruler. He was a king of great strength, wisdom, and piety, whose dominion stretched across the lands. Scholars explain that Allah granted him the ability to traverse distant regions, encountering nations, mountains, and seas that no ordinary human had seen. But the most remarkable part of his journey involved a people shrouded in mystery, Yajuj and Majuj. The Quran narrates in Surah Al-Kahf verses 83 to 98 how Dhul Qarnayn traveled to the east and the west, witnessing the diversity of Allah's creation. His journey was not merely one of conquest, it was a mission of justice, protection, and implementation of divine guidance. As he moved further, he encountered communities that lived in peace and others that were filled with corruption and injustice. It was in this context that he was approached by a people who complained about Yajuj and Majuj, tribes whose mischief and destruction threatened the world. Imagine the scene: tribes living behind a massive mountain barrier, raiding and causing chaos, unstoppable by ordinary means. The people pleaded with Dhul Qarnayn, asking for protection. This moment illustrates a profound lesson. Even the strongest nations and rulers require Allah's guidance to establish justice and safeguard the innocent. Dhul Qarnayn's response demonstrates the importance of seeking divine wisdom before taking action. He replied that he would build a barrier to protect the people from these destructive tribes, but that the solution had to be guided by Allah. This is a timeless lesson. Human strength alone cannot achieve true protection. Divine guidance is essential. Dhul Qarnayn gathered materials, including iron and molten copper, to construct a wall that would withstand the attempts of Yajuj and Majuj to breach it. Scholars note that the Quran's account emphasizes both the ingenuity of human effort and the necessity of divine blessing for success. The construction of the wall itself is fascinating. Imagine molten copper flowing like a river, hardening into an impenetrable barrier, sealing away chaos and ensuring peace for generations. The sheer scale of this task reflects the magnitude of Dhul Qarnayn's mission and the importance of preparation, patience, and reliance on Allah. It reminds believers that achieving justice and protection often requires tremendous effort, planning, and divine support. Yet the Quran also reminds us that this barrier is not permanent. Yajuj and Majuj remain hidden until Allah decrees the time of their release, a time that will signal one of the great events before the Day of Judgment. This teaches a critical lesson about the limits of human power. No matter how strong or wise a ruler may be, some matters remain under divine control. Humans can plan, build, and act, but ultimate authority rests with Allah alone. Throughout his journey, Dhul Qarnayn exhibited remarkable traits that serve as lessons for all believers. He was humble despite his power, patient despite the enormity of his task, and mindful of Allah in all his decisions. Scholars highlight that this narrative is not only about historical events, but also about moral and spiritual guidance. True leadership requires courage, humility, reliance on divine guidance, and a commitment to justice. The story also emphasizes foresight. Dhul Qarnayn knew that Yajuj and Majuj's release would occur in the future, yet he acted to protect the present. This is a reminder that human actions should consider both immediate outcomes and long-term consequences. Preparing wisely and acting responsibly are key elements of leadership and stewardship in accordance with divine guidance. The journey of Dhul Qarnayn and the construction of the wall are also a metaphor for spiritual lessons. Just as the wall protected communities from corruption and chaos, believers are encouraged to build spiritual barriers through faith, knowledge, and righteous actions to guard themselves from moral corruption and the evils of the world. The story invites reflection on both physical and spiritual preparedness. Finally, Dhul Qarnayn's story illustrates that even the mightiest of rulers are servants of Allah. His strength, wisdom, and ability to traverse the world were gifts from Allah, and he acted in obedience to divine instruction. This teaches believers humility. No matter how powerful or capable one becomes, ultimate success comes only through alignment with Allah's guidance and purpose. The journey of Dhul Qarnayn continued, and the story of Yajuj and Majuj began to unfold in ways that revealed not only history, but lessons for all believers. After hearing the pleas of the people threatened by these tribes, Dhul Qarnayn set out to understand the true nature of Yajuj and Majuj. For before acting, he sought knowledge and guidance from Allah. This moment highlights a key principle: strength without wisdom is insufficient, and human action must be guided by divine instruction. As he traveled closer to the territory of Yajuj and Majuj, Dhul Qarnayn witnessed the vastness of their land and the chaos they brought. Mountains could not restrain them, and no ordinary army could hope to subdue their strength. The Quran narrates that the people said, "O Dhul Qarnayn, indeed Yajuj and Majuj cause corruption in the land. May we pay you a tribute so you build a barrier between us and them." Surah Al-Kahf 94-95. This was a plea not only for protection but for justice and security, and it set the stage for a test of leadership, foresight, and reliance on Allah. Dhul Qarnayn, in response, did not act impulsively. He assessed the situation, sought Allah's guidance, and decided that a physical barrier would be the most effective means to protect the people. This demonstrates a timeless lesson. Human planning, combined with divine guidance, can achieve results that seem impossible. Scholars emphasize that believers are encouraged to approach challenges with foresight, planning, and trust in Allah, rather than relying solely on immediate power or instinct. The construction of the barrier itself is one of the most remarkable feats in Islamic history. Dhul Qarnayn used iron and molten copper, crafting a wall that would withstand the immense strength and ingenuity of Yajuj and Majuj. Imagine the labor, the precision, and the divine blessing required to complete such an extraordinary project. Scholars note that the Quran does not merely highlight the technical achievement, but emphasizes the moral and spiritual lessons: patience, obedience to Allah, and commitment to protecting the innocent. The sheer scale of the wall is awe-inspiring. It was built between two mountains, sealing off a gap through which Yajuj and Majuj could wreak havoc. The molten copper hardened like a river of steel, creating an impenetrable fortress. This image is not just historical, it carries symbolic meaning. The wall represents the boundaries established by divine wisdom to protect what is good and prevent chaos. Believers are reminded to build spiritual and moral barriers in their own lives, shielding themselves from corruption and evil. Even as the wall was completed, Dhul Qarnayn reminded the people that no human-made barrier lasts forever. Yajuj and Majuj remain hidden, and their release will occur only when Allah decrees the time. This teaches an important lesson. Human effort has limits, and ultimate control belongs to Allah. It also reminds believers to act responsibly in the present, while understanding that the future, especially matters beyond human perception, lies entirely in Allah's hands. The story of Dhul Qarnayn and the hidden nations also emphasizes the importance of justice. The people he helped were in danger, not because of their wrongdoing, but because of the chaos caused by Yajuj and Majuj. Dhul Qarnayn's role was to act as a guardian, protecting the innocent while acknowledging his own limitations. This teaches a timeless principle. Leadership requires courage, wisdom, and a commitment to justice, always seeking guidance from Allah in every decision. As the wall stood firm, Yajuj and Majuj were effectively contained, yet the Quran emphasizes that their eventual release is inevitable. Scholars interpret this as a warning and a lesson for all believers' life. Contains unseen events that may challenge human understanding. Preparing spiritually and morally is essential, for chaos and trials are part of the divine plan, appearing at times decreed by Allah alone. This reinforces the idea that faith and trust in Allah are necessary for navigating the uncertainties of life. The journey of Dhul Qarnayn also demonstrates the balance between human effort and divine will. While he built the wall and exercised his leadership, he did so entirely under Allah's guidance. Strength and wisdom are valuable, but without divine support, even the mightiest plans can fail. Believers learn from this narrative that every action should be aligned with divine guidance, combining effort, patience, and humility to achieve results that serve justice and goodness. Another layer of this story lies in its symbolic significance. Yajuj and Majuj represent chaos, corruption, and human challenges that seem impossible to control. Dhul Qarnayn's barrier is a metaphor for protection through knowledge, moral action, and reliance on Allah. Just as the wall safeguarded communities, believers are encouraged to fortify their hearts and minds with faith, righteous deeds, and awareness, preparing themselves for trials both visible and hidden. The narrative also illustrates the inevitability of divine decree. No matter how secure the wall, no human can alter the timing of Yajuj and Majuj's release. Scholars highlight that this teaches believers humility. Ultimate control belongs to Allah, and human planning must always respect divine authority. Patience, trust, and moral integrity are the means to navigate life's unpredictable events, reinforcing that faith is both protection and guidance. As Dhul Qarnayn completed his task and prepared to return from this perilous region, the lessons of this journey became clear. Strength and wisdom are vital, but they are insufficient without divine guidance. Protection of the innocent, patience in the face of danger, and reliance on Allah are paramount. The story serves as both historical account and moral guide, encouraging believers to act with integrity, foresight, and submission to divine wisdom. Before we continue to the next part, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and let us know which other mysterious Quranic events or prophets' journeys you would like explored. The story of Dhul Qarnayn, Yajuj, and Majuj is not just about history. It is a living lesson in leadership, patience, divine guidance, and preparation for the unseen challenges that life will inevitably present. The story of Dhul Qarnayn and the hidden nations of Yajuj and Majuj continues to reveal layers of mystery and divine wisdom that challenge human understanding. After constructing the massive barrier, Dhul Qarnayn stood back and reflected on the immensity of what had been accomplished. The wall was more than a physical structure. It was a symbol of protection, foresight, and reliance on Allah. Yet the greatest lesson lay in what was still unseen, the fate of Yajuj and Majuj, a warning for all generations. Scholars explain that the Quran emphasizes their continued existence, hidden yet restrained, until a time decreed by Allah. Their eventual release will mark a period of chaos and trial on earth, events that no human force could prevent or control. This reminds believers of the limits of human power and the necessity of humility, patience, and trust in divine decree. Dhul Qarnayn, despite his strength and wisdom, understood that ultimate authority belongs only to Allah. The nations of Yajuj and Majuj are described as formidable, capable of spreading corruption and destruction far beyond what any ordinary army could contain. Their power serves as a reminder that unseen forces may operate in ways humans cannot predict, and that preparation, guidance, and faith are essential in confronting challenges. Dhul Qarnayn's actions show that foresight, planning, and obedience to Allah can mitigate the impact of chaos, even if it cannot be eliminated entirely. As he returned from the region, Dhul Qarnayn's journey became a powerful testimony to the principles of justice and protection. The people he had safeguarded praised his leadership, yet he remained humble, attributing the success to Allah's guidance rather than his own might. This humility is a key lesson. True leadership is not about personal glory, but about fulfilling responsibilities in accordance with divine instruction. Every believer, in their own sphere, can apply this lesson by acting justly, protecting the vulnerable, and remaining conscious of Allah in all decisions. The story also underscores the importance of moral vigilance. Yajuj and Majuj represent the forces of corruption and chaos, which, though hidden, continue to exist. In life, many challenges, trials, and dangers are invisible, whether spiritual, moral, or societal. Believers are reminded to remain vigilant, fortifying their faith and character to withstand the trials that may arise unexpectedly. Dhul Qarnayn's wall, though physical, serves as a metaphor for this spiritual preparedness. Another crucial lesson emerges from the very nature of Dhul Qarnayn's journey, the balance between human effort and divine will. He did all that was possible, traveled to distant lands, consulted with people, built a formidable barrier. Yet he knew that ultimate success rested in Allah's hands. Scholars note that this teaches a universal principle. Humans must act responsibly, plan wisely, and exert effort, but must also submit to divine decree, recognizing that not all outcomes are under human control. The Quran also emphasizes the inevitability of Yajuj and Majuj's release as a sign of the approaching day of judgment. This serves as a warning and reminder for humanity. Preparation, patience, and moral integrity are essential in life, just as Dhul Qarnayn acted to protect the present generation. Believers are encouraged to prepare themselves spiritually for the challenges that lie ahead, cultivating resilience and faith to navigate the uncertainties of the world. The narrative illustrates the interplay between seen and unseen forces. Dhul Qarnayn's barrier restrained the physical threat, but he could not alter the divine timetable for Yajuj and Majuj's release. This duality highlights an important principle. While humans can influence certain outcomes through effort, planning, and obedience to Allah, some events remain under divine control. Believers are taught to act wisely and responsibly while trusting in Allah's perfect knowledge and timing. Moreover, Dhul Qarnayn's journey conveys a lesson about human responsibility. Even with divine guidance, he was expected to act decisively and justly. This teaches that faith is not passive. Believers must combine trust in Allah with action, using wisdom, knowledge, and moral integrity to fulfill their responsibilities. The story of Yajuj and Majuj reminds us that while some matters are beyond human control, in others, effort, preparation, and obedience make a profound difference. The hidden nature of Yajuj and Majuj also emphasizes patience and trust. For centuries, their existence remained unseen. Yet, Dhul Qarnayn's preparation ensured that when the time came, their impact could be managed according to Allah's plan. Similarly, believers are reminded to exercise patience and trust in Allah's wisdom, recognizing that many events in life, though unseen or delayed, unfold according to a perfect divine timetable. As Dhul Qarnayn concluded his mission, he left behind a lasting legacy of wisdom, leadership, and obedience to Allah. His journey serves as a reminder that the world is vast and complex, filled with visible and hidden challenges, and that human strength must always be paired with divine guidance. Believers learn that protection, justice, and moral responsibility require both effort and submission to Allah's decree. As Dhul Qarnayn completed his monumental task of building the barrier to contain Yajuj and Majuj, he paused to reflect on the lessons of his journey. The wall was not merely a physical structure. It represented foresight, divine guidance, and the protection of the innocent. Yet the most profound reality was this: the barrier, though mighty, was temporary in the grand design of Allah. Yajuj and Majuj would remain hidden only until the time appointed by Allah, and their eventual release would signal events of monumental significance before the day of judgment. This truth instilled a sense of humility and awe in all who heard of Dhul Qarnayn's journey. Scholars explain that the story of Yajuj and Majuj reminds humanity of the limits of human power. No matter how strong, wise, or righteous a ruler may be, some events remain beyond human control, governed solely by Allah's divine decree. Dhul Qarnayn's success was not in the wall itself, but in his obedience to Allah, his wisdom in planning, and his commitment to justice. This is a timeless lesson. Human effort must always be coupled with reliance on Allah. The hidden nations of Yajuj and Majuj themselves carry a powerful symbolic meaning. They represent chaos, corruption, and the forces that threaten peace and stability in the world. Yet their concealment behind the wall also reflects mercy and protection. Just as Dhul Qarnayn acted to safeguard the people of his time, Allah's wisdom ensures that destruction occurs only according to his perfect plan. Believers are reminded that patience, trust, and preparation are essential in facing the uncertainties and trials of life. Dhul Qarnayn's journey also highlights the principle of moral responsibility. He could have ignored the pleas of the people or acted impulsively, but instead, he assessed the situation, sought divine guidance, and executed a plan that combined wisdom, skill, and obedience. This teaches that leadership and moral action require thoughtfulness, ethical judgment, and a reliance on Allah's guidance. Every believer, in their own way, can apply this principle by approaching challenges with integrity, patience, and humility. One of the most striking aspects of the story is the inevitability of Yajuj and Majuj's eventual emergence. The Quran warns that when their time comes, they will swarm across the earth, spreading corruption and testing humanity. Scholars emphasize that this is not a story of fear, but a lesson in preparedness, spiritual, moral, and communal. Believers are encouraged to cultivate patience, strengthen their faith, and engage in righteous deeds to withstand trials, both visible and hidden. The narrative also reveals the importance of foresight and wisdom in human action. Dhul Qarnayn did not simply confront Yajuj and Majuj with force. He prepared a solution that would endure for generations. This teaches that foresight, planning, and patience are essential in addressing challenges. Life, much like this journey, often requires long-term vision, careful preparation, and reliance on divine guidance to achieve meaningful and lasting results. Furthermore, the story of Dhul Qarnayn and Yajuj and Majuj underscores the balance between human effort and divine authority. While Dhul Qarnayn built the wall and acted decisively, he understood that ultimate control over events rested with Allah. This reminds believers that while effort, skill, and wisdom are valuable, they must always be aligned with divine guidance. Success is a combination of human responsibility and submission to Allah's perfect plan. The spiritual lessons extend beyond leadership and foresight. The wall can also be seen as a metaphor for moral and spiritual protection. Just as the barrier shielded communities from the destructive power of Yajuj and Majuj, believers are encouraged to fortify themselves against corruption, temptation, and moral decay through faith, righteous actions, and ethical vigilance. Dhul Qarnayn's journey teaches that protection, whether physical or spiritual, requires effort, awareness, and obedience to Allah. Another profound element of the story is the theme of patience and trust. For centuries, Yajuj and Majuj remained hidden, restrained by the wall, yet their eventual release is certain. This mirrors the challenges of human life. Many trials and events are delayed, hidden, or appear incomprehensible, yet they unfold according to a divine timetable. Believers are reminded to exercise patience, trust in Allah's wisdom, and maintain faith, knowing that every event occurs at its appointed time. Finally, Dhul Qarnayn's journey emphasizes the importance of humility and gratitude. Despite his strength, wisdom, and achievements, he remained a servant of Allah, acting in obedience and seeking divine guidance at every step. This teaches that no matter how powerful or capable one becomes, ultimate success, protection, and guidance are gifts from Allah. Humility, reflection, and acknowledgement of divine support are essential qualities for all believers. As the story concludes, we are left with a message that transcends time. The hidden nations of Yajuj and Majuj, the mighty wall, and Dhul Qarnayn's extraordinary journey all serve as reminders of divine wisdom, human responsibility, and the balance between effort and submission. Believers are encouraged to build spiritual fortresses, act with justice, trust in Allah's plan, and prepare for life's unseen trials with patience and faith. Before we end this incredible journey, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and tell us which other mysteries from the Quran or stories of the prophets you want to explore next. The story of Dhul Qarnayn and Yajuj and Majuj is more than a historical account. It is a guide for life, offering lessons in patience, leadership, divine guidance, moral vigilance, and the importance of trusting Allah's perfect plan, even when faced with challenges that seem beyond human understanding.